host, Michael Edley, evidential medium and mystic, discussing all things spiritual.
Hello, I'm Mary Amy of Choose Psychics, an intuitive wisdom coach, tapping into your mystical life and sharing messages I receive about you.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. This is Michael Edley. Welcome to Two Psychics, episode 49. Wow, 49 episodes. 49 episodes in, and it's been an amazing ride. And I am here with my co-host, Mary Amy.
Hi.
How are you?
You. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Wow, episode 49. Wow, that's kind of crazy.
It is crazy, and I've gotten all of our episodes up on YouTube now. So the ones that were audio were transferred to video, and then the last bunch we already had made videos. So they're all up there, all 49. And you know what's so interesting when you go through and you're looking at these and you're re-listening to some of it? I said, oh my gosh, we've covered so much, and we have still some really exciting guests upcoming, like tonight, episode 49. And then I want to hear about what's going on with you. I'm just going to tell everyone, episode 49, it's May 1st. We have a transformational topic. And then our guest is a transformational coach. It's Joe Garner. He's also a meditation teacher and intuitive coach. And then upcoming, we have May 8th, Raya Loveguard, and she's a light language and starseed activator and galactic activator linguistic. And then May 15th, we have Stacy Schaefer, mediumship, energy healer, and channel guidance. So we have some exciting guests, and there's more guests that I'm working on. So.
Woo, right. Good stuff.
I know. But you know what, though? It's like we're getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And it's pretty interesting because I've looked around, and our podcast, our show, we take very raw guests that are really, they have a pure heart and they're sharing their truth. It's not also commercialized, which is kind of the best, isn't it? Like we had Shayna Blackmore, and we had that sound healing 2 weeks.
Unfiltered and unprocessed in the raw.
Yeah, in the raw.
Just how we like it.
Michael. So what's going on? What have you been up to on the Jersey Shore? Two psychics from the East Coast. What's going on?
I've been doing lots of readings, lots of events. So I had a sold out event last night, Psychic Night, which was cool. It was in my town here on the Jersey Shore, which was good. We do a really cool thing, and we kind of travel around the state with it. I have myself and some Reiki practitioners and card readers, and we have a really great group of people. Mm-hmm. And we bring this psychic event around, and we let people get a taste of energy healing. They get a taste of, readings, psychic abilities, mediumship, so they can kind of see the whole gambit of things. And especially people that don't have a real understanding, or they're a little nervous, they can kind of dip their toes in the water, and it's good. It's a good thing, and it enables me to get out in front of people that I may not be in a one-on-one private reading or anything. They may not, have had the chance to do that with me, so they can kind of see what I do, what my mediumship is about, what evidential mediumship is, and showing them the continuity of life continues on beyond physical death. It's very important for people to understand. And it totally shifts mindset around grief, around lost loved ones. And it's very, I think it's a very needed thing right now. I think people seem very disconnected, and I think people are trying, and they're grabbing at whatever they can to try to reconnect and reconnect with their soul, reconnect with, who they are, what they're about, what they should be doing. And I think a lot of us through life, we can veer off that path, and then, it hits us, and we're like, what's going on? Where am I? What am I doing? And I think a lot of people are dealing with that right now. A lot of people are having that awakening, and they're really questioning, how they've approached things, what they're doing, how their life has been situated and based. And I think it's good. I think it's a good thing if we can take a step back. But I also think we have to take a step back, and we have to, understand that I posted this the other day. It's about, sometimes we think the grass is greener on the other side, but we need to water our own grass, so it's taking care of your own energy, your own self, kind of awakening to that. If you feel you need to change or your soul is calling you to something different, we'll definitely look into that. But I think the biggest thing is we have to look inward when we're doing this. We can't put blame and circumstance and things that have occurred to us on outside factors. I think we have to look at how have we been maneuvering things, how have we handled ourselves, how have we been connected to that mind body spirit interconnection, and are we working to grow and strengthen each of those areas. So it's an awakening right now that I'm seeing, and I think people are they're shaking things up a little bit, and I think that is good. I think that's a good thing.
When I said raw, what I realized too is that the people that we are trying to kind of present to the public, and actually for me, I'm getting the experience as well. They're walking the walk and they're talking the talk, and you can become awakened, and then your eyes are open, and it's very, very difficult. And I experienced it because I was starting to feel disconnected, because when you spend a lot of time in the 9 to 5, the matrix, all of this technology, it doesn't serve your spirit. It doesn't serve your heart. It's all about something that's kind of soulless. And it's hard, it's difficult, because you have to pay your bills and you have to keep going. And so unless you're in some kind of environment that serves the mind body spirit, this programming that's going on, you sense it, like it's like you're around all of this mentality that they can't see past stuff or possessions or money. And I felt really, because I had these. And I said, why did this happen to me? Why did I have these sinus infections, 2 of them? Then I had a shoulder thing, which I got the shoulder thing figured out. And I said to myself, that's it. I'm doing a detox. And starting last weekend, I didn't have any technology on. I said, I don't want to hear. First of all, I'm not listening to any news, because I don't even know what that is. But just turning everything off and just have more solitude and peace, and just do a reconnect with myself and what's important to me, and make a list, and get outside and be like walking barefoot on the ground, and go back to whatever is my passions and my purpose. And what I'm saying is it's very, very difficult, and it's a harsh reality that we live in, and it's going to continue to appear as though there's not light, but there is light on the other side. So we just have to keep walking towards the light. This is what I'm doing, and everything will improve, like consistency, discipline. And here we are, 49 episodes in. And it's funny, because someone I know said to me, how did you do this? How did you continue this? And I said, I didn't think of it in terms of, oh, we're going to do 100 of these or 200 of these. I just said, let's just do it and keep doing it. And that's how you get through it, right? We just keep showing up. And here we are. So it's pretty exciting. And I found this video of myself talking about you, and I posted it from 2021. And I'm talking about when I first met you. And then I have a video of us saying, oh, let's do a radio show. Let's do a podcast. So, and this is all really what I'm saying is all about our subject tonight, which is transformational. So is there anything else you want to tell us about what's going on with you? You shared about you're doing a lot of, I'm so impressed with how many mediumship seminars and events you're doing. I'm totally impressed. I'd like to do some, like maybe over the summer, we do some kind of event together live.
Yes, I'm keeping busy. I'm keeping very busy. So the best way to find any of my events, if anyone wants to reach out, you can go to my social media, just Eye of the Spirits with Michael Edley on Facebook. I have a meetup page, same thing, Eye of the Spirits with Mike Edley. My website, eyeofthespirits.com. So any of those, you can get onto my mailing list, or you can go to my social media, and it'll have everything I'm doing. But I have some events coming up. Let's see, on the 15th of May, I am at Urban Coal House in Red Bank, New Jersey. So there's an event going on there. Grab tickets, they're on sale. We have an event coming up the end of the month at Icarus Brewing. That's in Brick, New Jersey. So your best bet, they will be the two upcoming ones. And there's a bunch of other stuff that's happening too. So jump on my social media, check it out, or get on my mailing list, and you will be informed. And then anyone that wants a reading, I would definitely say reach out now, get onto my waiting list. I'm quite a bit out. So if I get you onto the waiting list now, hopefully I get you on, for a private reading before the end of the year. But I would definitely say anyone that's looking for a private reading or a small group reading, definitely reach out now. All right. But eyeofthespirits.com, and you can email me.
When someone is signing up for one of your events, for example, I saw some posts about one that's upcoming in the next, I don't know if it's this week or next week. So they go to this event, they sign up, and what should they expect? What happens? You said
Yeah,
so what do they do?
Yeah, so our psychic night is based around a cool location that we like, that's sometimes it's an old building, sometimes it's a nice restaurant or distillery that's near the water. So we like the vibe of the place. We pick places that we feel have good energy to them. So that's definitely, the foundation of it. And then it's a night of Reiki. So you come in, you get Reiki energy healing. You get to experience that. I would say that letting go and allowing the energy to flow, in the Reiki session. And a lot of psychic intuitive stuff can come out in a Reiki session. It's really good to experience that and just start to feel the energy body and feel that we're much more than this physical body. And that gets people into the zone for whether they go into a card reading or they have a reading with me. And with me, you get a mini reading. So you would have like a 15-minute reading, and you kind of get a feel for what I'm doing and what evidential mediumship is. And that way, if you can't get a private reading with me right now, jump into one of these events, and we can still meet up, and you can see what I do and see if I resonate with you, and then get on my mailing list, or get onto my waiting list for a private reading or one of my small group readings or a gallery. But the thing is, a lot of people want, that one-on-one, and really want to go that deep dive, want to connect with their loved ones, want information and guidance around what's going on. So I love to do the private readings, but unfortunately, there's only one of me and so much time. So that's why I say, if you want the private reading, definitely get on my waiting list now. But these events are great, and a lot of really crucial, information can come through to let you know your loved one is still with you, whether that's a family member, a friend, a child, a parent. They're around us, and they want to guide us, and they want us to know. And, I try to show people, even in my session, like, these are simple ways you can connect with your loved one, because that's what it's really about. The loved ones in spirit, they want to directly go to their child or their grandson or their son, their daughter, whoever it may be, and they want to directly connect with them. So I think a big part of what I'm trying to do is show people, be present and be open to the signs. And these are practical things you can do in your everyday life to try to open and connect with them. And it's like anything else, we learn how to do it. It's a process. And I think going to an evidential medium where I can bring through pieces of information that I have no idea about, I'm the conduit. I'm just bringing the information through and can show them, look, I'm receiving evidence that your loved one is giving me, that they're around you, and they're giving me, prophetic word. They're giving me knowledge. They're giving me memories. So whatever that may be, and it's a really beautiful experience. And then they get coupons or gift certificates, different things to have food or or drink or whatever they want at the restaurant or the facility we're at. So the psychic events, the psychic nights are very cool.
Okay. Well, sorry,
I'm hearing little voices and stuff. What do we get?
You, and then I see our guest is here, but we have to
Nice.
have the topic first. And also, I'm fascinated with these events that you're doing, because it's like there's more people than you realize are believers, and more people that are interested in mediumship, because every single time I see one of these posts, it says fully booked. There's no room left. And I'm fascinated because out in the public, you think people aren't like part of this, but then when you get down to it, they're like, please help me, And you had a reading last show we did with Shayna, and you were this person contacted me after and said completely on point with everything you said. And that happens all the time. So I can see why you're completely booked and people are on wait lists, and they can't even get in to see you. And I'm really excited for you, and you're very special, Michael. You're a very special person, because I wouldn't do this with anybody unless they were.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Well, I'm the conduit, it's
You are.
the special ones are up there, but we're just here trying to be a part of it, and
I
trying to
know.
do what we can, But yeah, it's interesting, and it's cool that we have Joe Garner on tonight, and he's that transformational coach,
Yeah.
that life coach. Because again, like what we were talking about, a lot of people right now are just in this mindset of feeling disconnected, and that's the shift. We can completely empower ourselves through our mindset, and we're definitely going to be talking to Joe about that tonight. And I think it's very crucial that people take a step back, become present, be really aware of their mindset, and that transformation. If they're feeling disconnected and feel like they're meant to transform, or they're going into that energetic cycle, and we are definitely going into a very powerful energetic cycle, and people need to be very mindful about their mindset, mindful of the mindset.
They do. Exactly
Yeah.
what you just said, because people are awakening. Okay, so the topic tonight, because we are having a transformational coach, meditation teacher, I'm just going to share. So what I have is transformational is transforming, transmuting, life-changing, guidance, support, inspiring, motivating. It's all positive, isn't it? Maybe you feel lost. Maybe you're confused, you're overwhelmed, and you're ready. Now, I truly believe, because when I'm looking back at a lot of my work from the past and what I dove into, and how did I end up having this situation where I'm writing this book about extraterrestrial and angelic contacts, is because I asked for it. I looked into it, I had an open heart, and that's what you have to do when you're transforming. You have to be open. So here's some signs of transformational growth. Maybe it's hit you. Okay, you're going to feel shifts. You're going to feel a sense of deep change. You're going to awaken to understand more of the world than material possessions, like we spoke about earlier, about stuff and the physical reality, not just what's out here that you can see. It's in your heart, it's in your spirit, it's in your energy field. Okay, the world of material possessions is not going to be as important. Okay, you're going to start to have clarity about your heart, what's in it. And this is what you're going to do. You're going to, one, begin following your inner dialogue. You're going to long for what you've ignored, and you're going to feel as though and sense there's a spiritual path that you're supposed to take. You're going to start to reveal hidden strengths within you, and you're going to be in more solitude and enjoy it, and have this self-realization, like you're going to step back and see yourself from a different perspective than you ever had. Okay, you're going to call it like a come to Jesus moment, and you're going to have these epiphanies. And you're going to say, oh, I never realized that. A wow moment. Now your priorities are going to change, and you're going to realize you have a purpose for your existence, and your passions are going to come forward, and there will be a mission that you have on Earth Gaia. Your mind's going to expand, and your spirit is going to realize other possibilities. You are going to become unified. This is what I said earlier, unified with nature, self, earth, the cosmos, and others. You're going to feel connected. You're going to realize we're all connected, and every living thing is. And then your intuition is going to kick in, and you're going to have creative insight, sensitivity, like the way Michael and I are, because we've been open to it, and maybe we had an experience that brought it forward earlier than others. But you have a natural ability within you. You're going to start to feel physical sensations, a lot of empathy. Your beliefs will change. You'll feel an inner peace. You'll have compassion and synchronicity in your life.
I think that about covers the whole
That's
gamut.
everything that's going to happen. And then we're going to have Joe who's going to tell us how to do it.
Yeah. I mean, it is a process. And I think it's building upon the small steps. And I think that's very important for people to remember. The breakthrough, sometimes maybe it will happen very quickly, but most of the time it's very small, consistent steps. And we put those processes and procedures in place to support us. And again, we spoke about the mindset, but it's not only the mind and the mindset, it's the body and spirit and interconnecting all of them. So I can't wait to talk to Joe about it. We're gonna deep dive into this.
Should I bring him? I'm going to tell you. Okay, everyone. So Joe is a visionary leadership coach. He empowers leaders to bring strategy with spirituality, intuitive leadership. He's an intuitive as well, and consciousness practices. He has insights into tools like 5D meditation and aligning intuitive decision making with business strategies. On his website, if you go to his website, it's really cool, joegarner.net. And it'll be on the post. You'll be able to see it. He has what's called everyday calm courses. And he says he's going to help expand consciousness, spiritual growth, and building meditation, cultivate greater awareness, compassion, and connection to your inner wisdom. This will help reduce stress and anxiety, which we all need, enhance focus and clarity, and you will unlock your potential. You can have with him what's called weekly sessions and their peak performance workshop. He also has what's called a flow state workshop, deep work. So he's going to share this with us. We're going to see. I'm very excited. I've never met him before. I've just only emailed him. So here we go. Ready? We're admitting him, Joe Garner. Hi, welcome to Two Psychics.
Hello, Mary
Hey,
and
Joe.
Michael. Thank you
How
for
are
having
you?
me.
Sure.
I'm doing
Pleasure.
wonderful.
Pleasure having you here.
I
Hey.
appreciate it.
So where are you calling in from, Joe?
So I am in Delaware. I grew up in Delaware. I travel a little bit in the winter, kind of get out of town, but for the most part, my home base is here in it's Bethany Beach, Delaware, so down by the ocean.
Nice. All right. So you're on the East Coast with us. Nice.
I am, yeah,
That's awesome.
I
So
am.
what I always find very interesting, like you have a pretty large repertoire of things you've done, but I think with Two Psychics, a lot of what we like to deep dive into is the process of what got you there. And what I'm always intrigued from my background being a medium, and I experienced, part of my family being Catholic, traditional Catholic, the other half Hungarian gypsies, and this real spiritual kind of hybrid upbringing. And I'm just curious, when people follow this path or they kind of drop into this path, what started it?
Yeah, I came from that traditional Catholic, Roman Catholic background. I was altar boy, First Holy Communion, did the whole deal. I was in the choir, I was very into it for I feel right reasons, the community, like the friendships, the people that were there. As far as understanding and learning a lot about like the spiritual teachings of the Catholic, Roman Catholic Church, none of it really made any sense to me. So for most of my 20s, I always said I was at least agnostic, if not somewhat on the atheistic, like I don't know, you don't know, nobody knows. So I don't really need to hear your particular ideas about what you think is in the afterlife and all of this stuff. Um, it wasn't until I got into yoga, which led me into meditation, which gave me like a firsthand experience of this connectedness to everything, the ability to, you know, talk to people without speaking to them, feeling into the energy. That was really the first step. So it started with yoga. It was a very physical practice for me. I had injured my back. This was one of two options that the doctor gave me to kind of rehab. It was swimming, and I tried swimming first. I was like, I'm not doing yoga. That's crazy. So I tried swimming first, absolutely hated it. Felt like I was drowning every time I took a stroke. So I did that for like a week, and then I was like, no, I'm going to try yoga. Let's see what that's about. And again, just got into it for a very physical reason. It was like, it was a hot power yoga class, and it was like I was dripping sweat. I could barely keep up with the instructors. So it took me probably at least 6 months until I was in Shavasana. I was in like the corpse pose, the end of the practice. You're dripping sweat. You just worked out for an hour, hour 15, however long that class was. And for the first time, I felt the experience of not having thoughts for the first time that I can remember, because I was busy. I owned a bunch of different businesses when I was in college. I always had sports, everything that I was doing. There was never downtime where I just sat down and said, who am I? What am I here for? What is this experience about? And that was the first time that I experienced that. From there, I just kept trusting my intuition. I met with a woman who does past life regressions, got into, that whole experience, going into past lives, um, different types of beings that I've been before, different lives that I experienced, lessons that I learned from then. And then it just continued on until, eventually it led me to quantum mechanics and where we are with science right now. And that's kind of where I'm at with my spiritual practice. Just kind of understanding that every spiritual practice, every understanding, every philosophy, theosophy, all of them lead back to this understanding that at a fundamental level, everything is a wave of energy, and that we're all connected through that wave of energy, right? That's, from my perspective, that's what explains all of the um, kind of metaphysical abilities that humans have. And then you can then I dove into kind of the history of the metaphysics and how it was essentially, it was kind of kept secret for a while when we went through Kali Yuga, and coming out of that experience, going from Pisces into Aquarius, these types of natural progressions that the planet that we're on right now go through, and the fact that we get to live through this experience of lower level consciousness coming into higher level consciousness, and we get to be the beings that experience that transition in a very rapid time.
Yeah, and I love the way you explain it as energy, because that's how I explain it. And that's truly what it is. And I think when people can start understanding that it is all interconnected energy, and we have to look at energy in that way. It's like, as a medium, I'm reading a language of energy. Even like as a psychic, as an intuitive, we're reading that language of energy. And I think that can completely shift someone's mindset and how they approach any aspect of their life when they start seeing it in that way. There's no way you can completely see all the factors around the situation unless you're looking at it from your natural human and your spiritual, I guess, aspect. And it is all energy. So it's very interesting. And what I find too, a lot of times, like an injury or something like that, when our body is physically ailing, sometimes that causes some kind of shift too in the spiritual aspect. I know I went through large, I would say large transformational periods after serious injury. So
Yeah, I always kind of framed it from my perspective as my intuition, my soul was trying to get me to take notice that I was unhappy, I was depressed, I was not in a place where I wanted to be. And at first it gives you a whisper. It's like, hey, here's a little hint that maybe you should be looking for something different in your life. Maybe you shouldn't be going down this path anymore. And then it gives you a knock. It's like, hey, it sends you like maybe a little bout of depression, or it gives you kind of this life-changing experience. Somebody comes into your life that shifts your perspective. And if you don't get that one, eventually it gets to the physical and it says, you are going to sit down. You are going to have to sit with your thoughts for the next, I was basically bedridden for 2.5 months. I could get up, I could make myself food, go down to the kitchen, but I didn't leave the house for weeks at a time. And that was the first time that I'd sat with my thoughts for that long. It was just a fundamentally altering experience for me.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's when the awakening and the shift shift started unfolding, right? Now I'm curious with your practice and what you're doing. Like Mary and I, we're definitely seeing I would say a large portion of people that are coming to me and what I'm doing, they feel disconnected and they're looking for that connection. They're trying to get back, or they're being called for more. The life has kind of led them down this other path, and now they're awakening to, wow, how did I get here? And I'm so disconnected. Are you seeing kind of that energy, and are you trying to help people kind of shift through that mindset?
Yeah, yeah. I seem to be attracting people that are going through kind of large life transitions. So I have a couple people that are they're going through the experience of getting ready or have just entered their retirement period. And they're trying to figure out, like, they're busy professionals, they've been doing it for 20, 30, 40 years, and now they're trying to figure out, okay, like, now what? Now how do I calm my mind? How do I prepare my body for this next experience, which is going to be slower and easier. And so that's a little bit of part of it. Other big transitions, job transitions, they're transitioning from maybe the corporate world to going into business on their own, and that whole experience, which is such a deeply profound spiritual experience to go out on your own, start your own business, like really get to know who you truly are. Again, you don't find out who you are until you put yourself under pressure.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the only way to know who you truly are, especially from a subconscious perspective. Like, it's easy to ignore your subconscious beliefs and patterns when everything's going smooth, but when you're tested and every day you got to be and show up that best version of yourself, that's when you really start to see those patterns, those subconscious patterns that are blocking you from this next version of yourself, or this next part of your life.
Yeah. That's a really good perspective and way to look at it. Now, what would you say? A lot of people watching this show want tools. I'm listening to two psychics. I'm listening to Joe. If I'm feeling completely lost, I'm feeling completely disconnected. What would you tell your client? What would be the handful, those 2 or 3 things that could lay that groundwork to start shifting that mindset, start shifting how they're approaching things?
Yeah, so I think the first step is to calm the mind, is to calm that thinking, rational mind, and start to open up to the possibility that your subconscious, and again, I'll kind of frame what I mean by subconscious so that people kind of understand. I think people kind of throw subconscious around from a psychological standpoint. I'm talking more about a neurological standpoint. The 10 million bits of information that are flooding your nervous system at every single second of the day. Your conscious mind's only processing 100, 150 bits of that information. The rest of it is basically edited out by your either default mode network or your reticular activating system, the different parts of your brain that kind of focus your attention on what you are aware of, right? So what we're trying to do is get into the subconscious. So tune into the 9.99 million bits of information that are coming into your nervous system that aren't a part of your what we call the 5 sense reality. And that is the first step. So you calm your mind, and then you start to listen for what is speaking to me. Sometimes it's a feeling in the body. Sometimes it's a if you're clairaudient or clairsentient, it's voice inside of your head, or a knowing, a feeling, this kind of thing. And that's kind of the next step. So the first one, get the conscious mind, the rational mind out of the way, or what I like to say is put it in the back seat, and then start to feel into your intuition, your guidance, like your subconscious mind. What is speaking to you? What is calling you forward? And that's kind of the next step. And again, tons of tools. I have it's called the Flow Forum. I've got probably 15 free tools that you can use to start with meditation, then go into intuition. I've got mindset, which is starting to delve into the subconscious patterns, blocks, beliefs that are operating the 99.9% of your life. And that's really that first step. If you're feeling called, if you're feeling like there's something more than what you've been experiencing, wherever you are in your life, there's 18-year-olds that are going through this. There's 78-year-olds that are going through this, and we're all experiencing it. And I think we're coming to a place where in humanity, a vast majority of people are probably going to go through some kind of an awakening experience in the next 7 years or so.
Yeah, that shift is definitely happening.
Joe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Mary.
So as soon as you start talking, I got some information, and then I'm going to ask you a question. So right off, you have a lot of courage, you're proud, you're strong, and you passively are strolling along. And it's interesting. So without realizing it, I know you have this beautiful tree art behind you, but when I heard your voice, I saw trees that then turned to palm trees. And this is about your love of nature, and you love the warmth and the heat outside. And then I also saw this cat scratching and then yawning and then scratching and then yawning. It's like a pattern that you have, this energetic pattern. And then I saw light beaming down on you, and you're looking up, and every day you realize the light, and you like traveling and being away from your normal life. The last thing I heard or image that I received, which was much later when you were talking, was a hamster. And I was like, what is that? And that represents the need that you have for nurturing and vulnerability. You have. That's what I received about you. Okay. Now my question.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
No, but I mean, that's what I got. So I get like these mystical, he's got some real great information from spirit, and I'm receiving these images and symbols and messages. I have a question. You said science, and then here's Albert Einstein behind you with everything that you're doing. Now, where does science play in with this fact that we don't really know the science, correct? And here we all are awakening, and the things that we've heard and been programmed to believe are not necessarily true. Can you share your perspective?
So when you say, again, are we talking like the difference between kind of Newtonian physics versus quantum mechanics, or what are you referring to exactly?
Nope. I'm asking you, and like what you are, after all your research and and discovery and knowing like this is true and this is not true, or I don't know what to believe, or what is your belief in relation to us as humans, our mind, body, spirit, and the science? You spoke about the wave of energy beautifully. And Michael's always speaking about energy. Can you share? I mean, maybe science isn't the right word, but you said science initially. So I'm wondering what you think about science.
Yeah. So scientifically, where we're starting to get to is quantum science. So quantum biology, quantum mechanics, quantum physics. And then there's a couple people, some of the highest level theoretical physicists that are working on combining those two ideas together, the quantum science and then the like physical Newtonian science, and how those kind of fit together. And like you said, we don't actually know. Like, we haven't solved that equation. we have pretty good ideas about how they fit together. And from my perspective, Newtonian physics is the five senses physical experiences, like how the very small amount of the electromagnetic spectrum that we can see, feel, taste, touch, smell. That's the Newtonian physics, like what physically happens at the very small frequencies that we can experience from our human perspective. And then quantum mechanics is explaining the whole spectrum of the electromagnetic frequency. So this is where kind of our sixth senses come in. The like I said, the metaphysical experiences that you have. It's experiencing wider and wider bands of the electromagnetic field that most humans aren't used to or didn't believe that they were capable of experiencing. So that telepathic communication, again, you being able to read my energy, you're picking up on a part of my electromagnetic bandwidth that you can't see, smell, taste, touch, feel. It's coming through a sense that you have that is outside of the five senses. And from my perspective, it's a part of the evolution that happens in humanity. I've written about this on my blog a couple times, where essentially what's happening is, if you want to really dig into it, Brett Weinstein has a bunch of talks on this idea that quantum biology is starting to understand that evolution isn't a product of the genes, it's a product of the consciousness of the being that is experiencing those physical genes. So evolution is more or less driven by the consciousness of the being. So you talk about this with illness or sickness. If you believe that you're going to get sick, or if you believe that because you have this cancer diagnosis that's going to be the end of your life, that manifests in your reality because of the belief of that. And it could be subconscious, it could be conscious, but both of them play into this how the human evolves as a species. And what seems to be the case, this is it's called the I think it's the 10th monkey experiment. So essentially they had two islands of monkeys, and one island of the monkeys were evolving a particular trait, and somehow in the next generation that trait transferred over to the island without any no physical interactions between those two beings. So essentially that species was evolving on two separate islands, completely removed from each other, but because they were connected through some type of connection, whether that's a mental, a telepathic, or the fact that everything's connected, and because they're so close on that bandwidth of who they are, they were evolving along with the other ones that were evolving. That's kind of where I feel like we're at with humanity. There's a whole bunch of humans that are evolving this next generation, and we're doing so because essentially we need to evolve. The technology is picking up. We've got all of these kind of meta crises that seem to be happening on the planet, and our consciousness needs to evolve to keep up with those. Otherwise, we kind of run that risk of going extinct, of exterminating ourselves, essentially. So again, the evolution of the species is a byproduct of the consciousness that needs to happen as we evolve as a species. So maybe that answers your question. I'm not 100% sure.
It's interesting because I didn't know what you were going to say. Let's come on.
Well, you scared her out of her seat.
I scared her out.
That's
Yeah,
good. Yeah, that's all good.
I think that's a good sign.
Nothing's scaring me. Sorry. No, I did answer, and it's so interesting. Like, you are someone, you could probably do a lecture, and it would be fascinating because you touch on a lot of different topics, because you covered a lot of material in your, and it seems like you came from a place when you got, and did you say you were injured, or how did you end up getting you had back pain? Is that what happened?
Yeah, I burst a disc in my lower back. And it actually burst on the inside. So it burst towards my spinal cavity and started kind of choking the nerves running down the spinal cavity. So
Interesting,
it was,
because then they say, your a Kundalini awakening is from the base of you. I always say the base of your spine. Like
right.
let's put all our weight in our bottom and shoot, the energy down to the earth, but then shoot it up. And that's interesting. Would you demonstrate some kind of meditation for us?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Any requests, anything that you want to experience?
What do you think, Michael?
No, I think something that anyone that's newly open to this, that's newly open to meditating, that's newly open to energy healing, to psychics.
Basics, maybe.
Yeah, so yeah, something basic, something to kind of just lay the groundwork of the energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I can do it in probably about 7 minutes where we'll kind of ground down into the earth's energy and then we'll take our consciousness and move it out. That's always a nice, easy experience for kind of a first time meditator. And again, that a part of this process is being comfortable with removing your consciousness, what you call your consciousness, from the human body. That's what all mystical experiences are. That's what you experience when you have a psychedelic experience. Is this dissolution of the ego of the I am a human, my name is Joe. It dissolves away and you start to realize that you're far more, you're deeply interconnected with everything. So being able to kind of remove your consciousness from your body is very, very
so
helpful along this process.
this will be the meditation for laying the groundwork of connecting to our divine self, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
There you go.
So
Beginner advanced.
exactly. Yeah. I'm sure you two will have a very different experience than somebody who is doing this for the very first time. So yeah, just go ahead and sit back, close your eyes. You do want to keep your back, your spine as straight as possible. Again, from a biological, from a neurological standpoint, all of your nerves are running through that spinal cavity, or almost all of them. And the straighter that it is, the easier that the energy can flow through you. So we'll begin with just a few nice, long, deep breaths in through the nose, filling all the way up to the top. And then just gently let that air fall out of the nose until you're completely empty. And once you get down to the bottom, start that slow breath in and see how long you can get that in-breath to last. Maybe 5, maybe 10, maybe 15 seconds. And once you get to the top, just hold it for 1 second and then gently let that breath out again. And you'll do this lengthened breath for 2 more rounds. The breath is the metronome for our nervous system. When it is short and fast, you tell your body that you're in fight or flight, that there is a problem nearby, a danger. And when you lengthen the breath, when it's long and slow and deliberate, you tell your body, your nervous system, that things are okay, that you are safe. So anytime that you're feeling overwhelmed, just take a moment to slow the breath down, and the nervous system will follow. So we'll bring our awareness up to the top of our head, the crown, and just imagine a small white ball of light floating just above the top of your head, the crown chakra, maybe spinning in a clockwise direction, just starting to draw in some energy from around the room, Notice as it grows just a little bit larger, a little bit larger, pulling in energy. And then allow that ball of energy to come down through the crown chakra, just traveling gently behind the eyes, picking up any tension, any tightness that you have in your temples, in your jaw, moving down into the throat, connecting the top three chakras. Feel that energy flow into this bright ball of white light as it moves down, letting any tension go in the shoulders, down into the arms. Just allow the hands to splay. And that ball of energy comes back into the heart, to your heart chakra, into the connection to everything. This is the portal to your higher self, your soul. Feel that ball of energy as it fills your heart chakra with bright white light and energy. And then allow that ball of energy to continue down, moving towards the solar plexus, energizing that solar plexus as it moves down into the sacral chakra, letting any tension go in the lower back and the abdomen, finally down into the root chakra, noticing how it feels to have all 7 chakras inside your body connected to this bright ball of white energy. And gently, that ball of energy is going to continue down through the legs, letting go of any tension in the legs and the knees and the calves, all the way down to the feet. And then it gently moves down through the feet, through the ground, staying connected to your energy body as it moves through the crust of the earth, traveling down through the layers of liquid, of solid, all the way down through to the core of the earth. Feel this connection of this white ball of energy to the center, the core, the heart chakra of the earth. Feel what it feels like to have that, your heart and the earth's heart connected, deeply connected. This is your grounding. This is where you stay connected to this human experience. This is how you are connected to this human experience. Even though we travel away from this earthly realm with our consciousness, we are always connected back to this earth. So now we'll bring that ball of white energy, leaving the connection, coming back up through the feet, traveling up through the body, through our chakra system, up through the crown chakra, starting to pick up speed as it moves out of the room, through the roof, into the atmosphere, traveling further and further out into the atmosphere as it pokes through the highest levels of our atmosphere, out into space, traveling closer and closer to the moon. And just take a moment as your awareness, your consciousness travels out to the moon and spin around. Take a look at the earth from this beautiful distance. Notice how peaceful, how calm, how unified it looks from this perspective. All of the problems and issues and crises that we have on the earth don't exist from this perspective. It's just a beautiful ball of green and blue energy. Soak in that energy, soak in that perspective. Allow anything that is bothering you right now to just fade away. And then we'll travel just a little bit further, moving out away from the moon, away from the earth, moving past the other planets in the solar system, zooming past Mars and Jupiter and Saturn, all the way out of our solar system as we move towards the center of the Milky Way, zooming past our closest neighbor stars, then through the different arms of the Milky Way as we travel closer and closer to this central sun, this black hole, this combination of light and dark that exists at the center of the Milky Way. Just begin to move your energy, this ball of white energy, into that central sun of the galaxy of the Milky Way. Feel that connection to everything that exists inside of this, our home galaxy. Feel all the different life forms, the different consciousnesses, the different experiences that beings are having, not just on our planet, but on every other planet that holds life. Feel that connection. Allow that connection to just flow into your body. Allow it to change the nervous system, to have this deeper understanding that there is more than just this human experience. And in this place, we just give a little bit of gratitude for ourselves, for allowing us to be in this place, to journey through the different parts of our solar system, our consciousness. Gratitude for the opportunity to be alive right now. And gently we'll start the journey back to the earth, zooming out away from that central sun, through the different arms of the galaxy, back through our neighboring stars, into the solar system, through the planets, coming up to the moon as we zoom back past the moon down into the atmosphere, gently coming back down through the roof into the room. With that ball of energy, our consciousness, our awareness comes back through the crown, all the way down into our heart, into that heart chakra. Just allow this experience to soak into your nervous system for just a second. As you start to pull up the energy connected to the central part of our earth, coming up through the feet, up through the legs, up through the abdomen, all the way back into the heart, merging back with that ball of white energy. And just allow that ball of energy to diffuse back into your body, keeping the energy of your chakras fully charged. Give one last bit of gratitude to your body for housing all of this. Just gently begin to come back into your body. Allow some movement in the hands and the feet, maybe stretching the arms overhead or the neck or the shoulders. And whenever you're ready, just gently allow your eyes to be the last thing to blink open and come back to the here and the now.
That was a very positive experience.
Thank you. Yeah, I
But
try to keep it positive, to keep it uplifting. That's always the goal.
I feel rejuvenated, refreshed and rejuvenated.
Beautiful. Yeah.
That
Tell
was
me,
good. It was very relaxing.
what was your experience?
You know, for me, I was just trying to completely focus and ground my energy. I had an event last night, and I was going to really late, and it was just one of those days where I just felt very unrested. And it was
Mhm.
interesting because that meditation basically brought me back to center. So it was good. It was a good energetic balance,
Good,
realigning.
good. Love to hear that.
Yeah.
I have to fight, not fight, I shouldn't say fight. I have to keep myself from not having too many visuals and just stay in the
Mhm.
breath and just listen to what you're saying and focus on what you're saying so that I'm staying in the moment present. I'm not veering off because I start to get symbols and visuals, and I really loved how you brought it down through the crown and behind and down through. I loved that experience. I felt the connection, the warmth. I felt the light. I loved how you did that and how you took us to Earth and then out into the cosmos. I saw it's like for some reason I'll have to like figure out. I know I'm going to have some crazy dreams tonight from this because when you said communicating with other planets, I'm like, oh, here we go. I'm going to hear from everyone. Like
Yeah.
I saw for some reason this purple scarf, which was very strange. I can even place where I saw it inside of me. So I don't know what that was. But you know
Well,
what, with meditation, sometimes what happens is I redeem memories. So memories come forward and it's like it gives me a breath to it to realize something happened that I forgot.
Right.
So it's
Yeah, that's always and this was, kind of I came into this experience through past life regressions and going through those experiences, using meditation to get to that point, to go to the Akashic records, to look back on different lives that my consciousness has experienced before this human experience. And that's, being able to travel out of the body through time and space, through the different lineages that you've experienced is always there's messages that come through. There's lessons that you've learned in that lifetime that you don't need to learn in this lifetime that you've forgotten because, again, when you come into that human experience, you forget all those other experiences that you've had as a soul, as a infinite consciousness that exists forever. And yeah, it really is helpful. And I like that you said the dreams tonight, because that's when I do these meditations, people kind of come back and say, "Oh, I had some crazy dreams. Like, what did you do to me?" And I'm like, "I didn't do anything to you. I just allowed your awareness to open up a little bit more so that you can have those dreams." And that's a very common side effect of meditation, of a regular meditation practice. You do start to remember and experience your dreams and then start to have these very vivid dreams. And some people even have the ability to kind of wake up inside of their dream. They set this anchor that, just like in Inception, where they have this anchor that wakes them up inside of the dream. Some people are able to actually do that in real life, which is pretty fascinating.
lucid dreams.
What's that?
Lucid dreams.
Yeah, lucid dreaming, exactly.
Right.
yeah. And a lot of times, it's in that dreamlike state where that analytical mind, that right brain kind of shuts down and that artistic left brain seems to expand a little more. And what I find, people that are having difficulties dealing with loss of a loved one, grief, a lot of stuff that I help people navigate through, it's in the dreamlike state where, a lot of times that's where they'll make that first connection, or that's where the energetic opening begins. And so, yeah,
Mm.
it's interesting that you speak about a lot of your clients having experiences like that, as you bring them through meditation and everything. So Joe, I'll share it since you're on Two Psychics. And as I'm hearing your voice, being a medium, I'm obviously connecting to your energy. So I'll share, since Mary Amy was sharing some fun stuff. I'll share two pieces of information that came to me, and it's interesting because one I heard, so one clairaudiently, and the other I saw. And what's interesting is, I'll just share with you a little bit of how I got the energy. So old female energy, when energy comes to me, when it comes to my right side, it's connected to mom or mom's lineage. So it wasn't necessarily mom in spirit. I'm not sensing her, but it could be grandma, could be great grandmother's energy. But what's interesting is, through their energy, they show me you're definitely writing a book, and it's not necessarily a book that's teaching and learning. It's almost like a compendium, a calendar, a journal that someone could actually utilize in their waking, like, each day. So I don't know if you're planning on something like that, or there's something, the wheels are turning around that, but there's definitely really good energy that I'm picking up around you, of not just not just like fictional, non-fictional writing. This is an actual compendium or journal that has a lot of your tips, your tools, your techniques in it, and actually like a guidebook to help someone navigate each day, or empower them in what you're doing. So I don't know if that's something that's in your awareness, or I'm bringing it to light, but it's there, and it seems very powerful. And it's funny because I literally just see you like designing it and creating it. And it was interesting because I also saw like a heavier, like a leather bound something, like something like a special book, a special carrier, something that was embossed in leather. I think there's a lot of positive energy around that. So if you haven't been thinking about that, you definitely should be. And the,
No,
the other
yeah.
interesting thing is, I have to ask about the name, like positive connection to an L or a Lisa. I don't know if that's tied into you, or there's a loved one in spirit, or someone's connected to you here, but I feel like I'm getting that name around you as a positive connection. So that could be on this path. It could be a positive connection that's going to come forth over the next several weeks, several months, unless I'm not fully open, my meditation, my mediumship dial. But if there is someone with that significant L around you, they could be trying to connect.
Okay. That's great. I love this. I didn't realize I was getting readings done while I was
No,
on the show.
no, we don't anticipate that, but sometimes it just happens.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. I'm very appreciative of it for sure.
And we
So I'll
figured,
keep an eye
we're
out for the L.
yeah, the L is interesting. I don't know why I'm picking up like female energy, and I'm really being drawn to the name Lisa, or Li, Leah, Lisa, like an Li
Okay.
type name around that. So yeah, I'm not sure. I want to share it because it's coming through. So it's coming through for some reason, and I don't want to
I'll
discredit it.
shoot you an email when I find out what name it actually is.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's definitely a lot of positive energy around the L, and something with you doing some type of journal, book, compendium type material.
Perfect. I love that.
What about you, Mary Amy? You getting anything else, or what? I see.
You about the L, and when you're saying that, I'm validating.
Yeah, I think
It
so.
seems more real than I real like but it's some kind of love connection, maybe. I don't know if it's spirit. It is, they are telling that. I do get that. I do get that's
Well, for
something.
what? Yeah, what's
I
interesting,
get
it could even be
something, I
business.
get something that's, it's in this realm.
Yeah, there's some power energy around there. Could even be publicist, publisher, something tied into a book, something tied into
Something,
something around that
something
type of
there.
expression. Yeah, but no, that's great. So
Well, you
Joe, I mean, it's been a pleasure having you here. I really appreciate your insight, and I'm sure our listeners are gonna love that meditation. And that definitely got me into the zone. So it was really cool. But what what do you want to share with our listeners? Is there anything coming up? Anything you have going on? Anything in particular that they should know about?
Yeah, so I'm building out a new community area where essentially I'm giving away a whole bunch of these tools for mindset, mindfulness, intuition, and purpose. Those are kind of the four pillars of my one-on-one coaching that I do with you know people that are going through either transitions. A lot of times it's in the business world, so they're looking to either expand their business or get into their business for the first time, get into like their own business for the first time, or they're kind of they're at a point in their business where they want to delegate, to get out of the day to day and then start moving into being an operator versus in the business. So it's a little bit of business consulting, but regardless, the Flow Forum is really what I'm passionate about right now. So it's just offering free tools for people to build their meditation practice, work with their intuition, kind of build that relationship. And I always refer to it as a relationship with your intuition. Again, your intuition, from my perspective, being kind of the awareness of your subconscious mind, the extra bits of information that are traveling through your nervous system. You could call it your higher self, your soul, your spirit, the universe, God, whatever you want to call that, whatever your kind of interpretation of that experience is. Your intuition is this direct connection to it. So I've got a bunch of different tools and videos on how to almost systematically make this connection to your intuition. And yeah, it's a growing community of people who are kind of on different parts of their journey. I try to get people talking, to share different perspectives, different opportunities. And then, of course, there's always working one-on-one with me, which is right now that container is a 12-week container. We're meeting once a week. We're really diving deep into the 4 pillars of growth, and each kind of experience is whatever that person is needing at that moment.
Very cool.
Have you done any where you do a meditation and you have it online, like do you have that already, where people can download meditations and it's you?
I have a couple meditations on the Flow Forum.
Okay.
And then I just unveiled, it's called Quantum Meditation. So it's similar to what we did, where we're kind of removing our consciousness out of the body, going to different experiences, having different experiences out of the body. So I just put that up. That's actually the only paid portion of the Flow Forum that I've got going on right now. But I'm adding probably one or two meditations a month into that. But no, other than that, my YouTube channel has a bunch of different meditations as well. So you can check that one out. I think I sent that link to you as well, but it's linked in the Flow Forum too.
Okay. Because you gave a great meditation. That's why I was asking. Like I guess years ago, I had download from where I bought it, and it's the same woman's voice. So now when I hear that voice, I just automatically, but it was a guided meditation. So that's what I was asking. Not just,
Yeah.
yeah.
I had a very similar experience. I downloaded a meditation. It was like essentially a chakra aligning, and then almost like a Kundalini type meditation. It was 30 some minutes. And after 3 weeks of doing it, like the second that voice came on, my body went to that place, to that deep, deep meditative place. That was a fun experience. The first time that I kind of like had that out of body experience.
Yeah, where you're completely relaxed like that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Where we want to live every day.
Yeah, I don't know if that's possible. I think,
Anything's possible.
yeah, exactly.
Joe, come on, you're transformational coach. Anything's possible.
Anything is possible.
Anything is
We're a work in progress, and it's just those small steps and staying focused, right?
Exactly. Yep. I love it.
So tell, just before you go, and we're so grateful, and I really appreciate it. Your website, your social media, how they can reach you.
Yeah, the website is joegarner.net, GARNER.net. That'll have most of the links to everything. It's got the Flow Forum on there. It's got my podcast on there. It's called Changing the Channel with Joe Garner. Really just kind of talking about the shift in consciousness on the planet and how different people are experiencing it. I've got guests coming on. I'm going to start doing solo podcasts this summer and just kind of giving people a taste of the opportunity to work with me. And then Instagram is probably the best way to find me if you want to reach out, have a conversation. And the handle is Gar Nation. So it's my last name, Gar Nation.
Amazing.
Very cool.
So
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
yeah,
Joe, it's
Michael,
been a
Mary,
pleasure.
this was a great time. I really appreciate you having me on a Thursday evening, and looking forward to seeing where this leads, where this connection leads.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely. You're close. So if we have something going on, we might be dragging you into the city or something, dragging you down to the Jersey Shore.
Yeah, I'm a ferry ride away, so
Yeah,
let me
yeah.
know.
All right, sounds good, man. Really, really appreciate you, and I think our listeners are going to really enjoy that meditation, like Mary Amy said. It got me into the zone. So and very, very quickly. And you do have a very calming voice, so yeah, it was good. It
I
was
love
good, man.
it.
I like it.
It's just great.
So
I appreciate it.
again, everyone out there listening, the two psychics, joegarner.net, visionary leader, life
Yeah,
coach, intuitive, and a number of things.
follow
so,
my
Hmm.
so Joe, we're gonna have to have you back on at some point, or if
yes.
we have a live event, I think we're gonna have to drag you out to it.
Yeah, count me in. I would love to join y'all, see what you're getting into.
Absolutely, the wheels are turning. So when we have that live event going, you're gonna get the phone call.
Beautiful. Looking forward to it.
Well, thank you
All
so
right.
much for
Well,
being here. Really
Have a
appreciate it.
great night. Thank you.
you too. Thank you. Take care.
Bye. Okay, that was amazing. And you know
Yeah,
what I think? I think
good
he's going to
stuff.
write a book like what you said, meet someone named
Yeah.
Lisa, and he's going to do these meditations that you download.
Well, it's funny because for me, I have this process now because when I'm doing all these events and I have to be able to get into the zone very quick. I don't have, obviously, I have my processes before I do any type of reading or gallery or any type of event. I have my own energy work and my own meditation that I do before any of that. But really, you have to be able to get into that, just that it's almost a trance meditative state, and you have to be able to get there very quickly. And it's funny because certain people's voices will trigger that much quicker. And I don't know if it's the frequency of the voice or the tone, but Joe has that quality to his voice, and it's cool. I like that. And what's interesting is when I hear the voice. Now that's when a lot of what I call someone's collective energy will just start basically flowing to me. And in that process, and it's funny because that's what I saw him writing the book. But what was interesting, it was almost as if spirit wanted to give me details of not to focus on the fictional, non-fictional, the storyline, or that, but actual, like a workbook, or a compendium journal that someone would utilize in their each and every day life. Morning routines, afternoon routines, evening routines, so that type of thing. And it's interesting how spirit imprints those things on you. Yeah, and then the L. And it's interesting if we had if we basically allow that volume now to go, that's the start of the mediumship connection. But yeah, it's interesting how the voice a lot of times can segue into the energy, and that's one thing that I would tell any of our listeners when they're trying to develop their psychic intuition. Listen to what's resonating. Joe had touched on that a little bit about either hearing it, clairaudient, feeling it, sensing it, all these different clair awarenesses. And what'll happen is a lot of times your most dominant sense will start picking things up in the most powerful way. And then the secondary senses will start building upon that. So that's what I would tell everyone is start paying attention to exactly how it's coming to you. Are you seeing it in your mind's eye, in that third eye? Are you hearing it clairaudiently? I mean, sometimes, clairgustance, claircognizance. I mean, there's different people can taste it, people can smell it. They're less common. Normally it's a clear seeing, a hearing, a knowing, and that can be very, very powerful. And what I want to tell people to do is don't discredit that. Like sit with that information and allow that information to guide you, because when we don't trust and we discredit, or we write it off as coincidence, that's when we start disconnecting from our energetic self. That's when we start disconnecting from our intuition. So we don't want to do that. We want to connect. We want to listen. We want to let go, and we want that energy to flow.
We have to listen and listen with all our senses.
Yeah.
Listening, our
And even
clairaudience.
listening. Yeah. And it's,
we're just listening to the energy because
yeah.
you've spoken about energy. And so what I'm doing now, rather than having any doubt when when I do a reading, I'm actually, there's pieces there that are telling me something. So I'm absorbing that and then coming up with the answer. Like what does this mean exactly? And it's usually like multiple symbols come up. So it's like that's what you have to say. That's meaningful.
What's really interesting about that too, and anybody out there that's listening and has a similar experience to that, what I found for me personally, when I started on this journey and things like that were happening, I had a little journal. Like I literally had a little tiny notebook, and I would start writing little notes. And if I started to experience like a certain symbol, I would always start seeing a certain symbol connected to a certain meaning, to give me a piece of information. So see if there's synchronicities that are happening. Like like I'll give you an example. If every time you pick up on someone having an ailment, so say someone has some type of illness, and there's some adverse condition to their health, and not realizing it, but inadvertently you would see a stethoscope, or you would see like a doctor's office, maybe you see the medical sign, or something like that. If you start seeing a symbol, or you start seeing a certain color, a certain name, a certain emblem, try to see what you can associate that with if it keeps reoccurring.
Okay.
And what is that intuitively guiding you for? And then you build up an energy language, and that's really what it is. You're reading that language, and those symbols, those signs. I've got it to a point where it always means the same thing. And I even asked them, if I'm unsure, show me the light, show me the red and the green light. I don't want to see the yellow. I don't want the yellow. Give me the definite red or the green. I know the green is go, yes. The red is no, stop. And we can break that down into symbols and a structure and processes and procedures. And our collective will build upon that, and they'll start working with that energetic language so they can accurately communicate with us. And it's a process, but we absolutely can create an energetic language with them so they can communicate, and vice versa. We can communicate with them.
I did, when at the very end, I saw something related to Joe in his past life, and maybe that was the suggestion of it. And something about him, and it was maybe it was like the 1800s, something like that. And he was dressed in this, he was dressed in a suit, like an old-fashioned suit, and he was some kind of scholar giving lectures. And maybe that's why he has this, he pursued a lot of research in this lifetime. There's something to that, like he's trying to get, because I believe that we're trying to get back to our real self. I mean, yes, there's pieces of us, but there's something that we're trying to, well, at least I am trying to get back to my real self. But yeah, it's fascinating. It's fascinating to have people on, and I'm happy we had a chance. We're having a lot of different type of guests. There's none of them are the same. So we have coming up for next episode, which today's May 1st, episode 49. We have May 8th, Raya Loveguard, next Thursday, Light Language Starseed Activator. This person has so much on social media. She's constantly doing videos. Sweet being. So I don't even know the number, but she's watched. And then we have Stacy Schaefer, who's mediumship, energy healer, and channel guidance. And there's a few others that have accepted. I just don't have upcoming dates. I do want to have readings. I'd like us to have some call-ins for readings. I'm going to focus on that for next week. Tonight was fine because you've been doing so much of that already. And I don't want to wear, oh, by the way, so not Peter, David Eller, who's the Bigfoot Sasquatch investigator who wants to go to the Pine Barrens of Georgia
Yeah.
with us this summer.
Let's do it.
We're going to go camping in the wilderness, into the deep, deep wilderness. I have tents. We can do this. Has an event coming up May 10th and 11th in Kentucky. And I was considering going, but it's just too much because there's not a direct, the airport is 3 hours, it's a small airport and the main airport's 3 hours away. And he's having it's a symposium. So if you want to look up David Eller's symposium, you can find it if you Google it, you can find it, but he has an array of guest speakers and he said, you can come. And then I was thinking, oh, should I invite Michael Edley? But it's so close to that day and we have so much going on, but
road trip.
I know. I was like, how far is Kentucky? But we both have a lot going on right now. So I don't think this time, but we'll figure it out. I want to get him here this summer to do this. And he said that we'll have to figure that out.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Calendar and stick a night looking for Bigfoot because apparently Bigfoot's there and if Bigfoot's there, he will definitely search and find Bigfoot. And
everybody likes the shore, right? Why wouldn't Bigfoot? Some here along the Pine Barrens and the shoreline. Yeah, I would definitely say we have the Jersey Devil. So hey, let's go hunting. Let's go searching.
We're gonna videotape it, but is this gonna be a solo? Are we doing a solo? Are we gonna be in the deep, deep woods with Bigfoot, or do we bring people?
Oh, I think we definitely. There's gonna have to be a whole crew.
A whole crew of people, right? Because I don't want to
be a whole crew.
This and everyone's like, yeah, sure, happened. And I'm like, oh no.
If we're going trekking into the deep outback, I definitely want a group of people that well, let's just hope they're not aggressive and don't want to eat humans. but if they do, let's make sure we got some. But if they do, let's make sure we got some slow runners in the group.
Wait, what? You mean wait, what?
So we got some slow runners, so we would outrace them, and then the
okay.
slow ones, Yeah.
I'm like, where's your confidence?
I'm kidding.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'd be the one getting eaten. I don't even know if I could do a mile right now, and I used to run a lot, but it's been quite some time.
Well, I think they put you into some kind of flight or fight. And they zap you, right, with some kind of energy weapon that they have telepathically. And
well, that would be my thing. Is let me go in and let me get into the zone and let's see on whether it's a telepathic, psychic, some type of energetic level that we can communicate. That's what all the talk is now, that there are these telepathic, otherworldly, interdimensional creatures. Hey, I'm open to a conversation.
Now I'm trying at this point to realize what is a machine or technology and what is a real thing, living thing. So because they can do it they have technology to do that, to send thoughts, an impression.
Oh yeah.
But there are definitely beings that telepathically speak to us. I mean, we know that there's angels that do.
Yeah.
There's spiritual beings, and there's also grotesque beings. I'm calling them monsters now. That's my new word. I'm just going to define so many evil entities as monsters.
Well, I guess I'm going to have to start looking up some camping gear, get my backpack ready.
Oh, I have a couple of tents, so we're good. Like if you need a tent, we have multiple. Oh, I don't know if you can blow them up. Well, I guess you can. You don't have. No, you might need an electrical source. You might have to have a legit sleeping bag in a tent.
Hey, I was a Boy Scout as a kid. I went on survival expeditions. I'm ready.
Okay.
Go through a little refresher course, and I'm ready to go.
I'm holding you to it. We'll get a whole crew together. We'll bring, and this is what this guy does.
Will they give us like a whole breakdown? Like, you can't shower for a week because you can't smell like anything because it'll scare them away. Or, you have like hunters, that bathe in, deer urine or whatever they do and hide in the bushes all dirty so there's no human scent. You have to hide the human scent. But well, I would think if they're interdimensional creatures, they're way beyond needing to pick up a scent. But it was just, one of those random thoughts.
Well, it's like with us, right? We carry a vibration. That's what they
Yeah.
sense. It's not
Yeah.
that is our smell, our vibration.
Yeah.
So they
And
can tell if someone is aggressive and someone is hostile, and then they'll send that person away. And then someone who's not, then they'll be like, come to me.
That's the thing too. Our energy imprint doesn't lie. That's why a psychic can pick up on that energy, and it's like it's like a truth detector. It really is. That's why I tell people, even if you don't want to do galleries and readings for other people, to utilize it in your own life, you can't go wrong, So anyone out there, listen to your intuitive wisdom. Let it flow.
You have something within you that will tell you, go this way, that way, or go this way. Okay, everyone. Before we go, I just want to mention that if you want to reach Michael Etley and you want to get a personal reading or know about his events, you go to eyeofthespirits.com. I'm doing some work on my website, but it's there. I have a lot of videos on it. MaryAmyOfficial.com. You can go and you can contact me and I'll give you a private reading. I'm not someone who's interested in seeing you 50 times. Usually I see you once, maybe a year later, and that's it. It's not like it's every week, just, to guide you. I'm a spiritual intuitive, spiritual, wait, what am I? And spiritual intuitive coach. Is that how I say it? Look, all of my mind, I remember what I do. Spiritual
tongue twister.
Spiritual yes, I'm a Reiki master, and like Michael, we can both perform marriage ceremonies. So you can join us next week, and if you would like a reading, email me at maryamyintuitive@gmail.com. Okay, everyone. Well, intuitive wisdom coach, that's what it is. An intuitive wisdom coach. All of a sudden, I can't remember what I do. If you want to find us, we do have a Facebook page, Two Psychics Podcast. It's up to 2.5 thousand followers. Thank you very much. We have merchandise on Spreadshop. You just look up Two Psychics Radio. Okay, everyone. Have a great night. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. We will see you next episode 50.
That's right. Episode 50 will be a party. Bye, Michael. Have a great night.
Bye. You too. Bye.